Thanks for joining us today for webinar number 18 in a series of webinars for small business navigating the impacts of COVID-19. I'm Barbara Coffey, Director of Economic Initiatives for the City of Tucson. We have another great panel for you today. Our speakers will share with you some updates on their financial and technical assistance resources. So I know that is a hot topic. As always, we will take your questions as we go, so feel free to enter your questions in the chat box or the Q&A, and we'll get to as many of those as possible in our time together this afternoon. We'll keep all participants muted since we do have a large number of attendees, and we will record this session and make it available for everyone tomorrow. You can find links to all previous webinars at connecttucson.com, and typically we'll have them up there by noon tomorrow. So we'll get started. I'm going to introduce our first speakers, representing Prestamos CDFI, a division of Chicanos por la Causa, or CPLC, as you may know. First, Patrick Quigley, Director of Opportunity Zones for the organization. Patrick ensures the public's trust is maintained by delivering socially impactful developments in our local communities, while generating competitive returns for investors, family wealth offices, and CPLC. Patrick brings over 24 years of experience in the investment management and commercial real estate industry with various investment advisors, asset managers, broker-dealers, and real estate investment companies. He has previously held the position of Director of Finance with the Arizona State Treasurer's Office and 2 other firms. Patrick holds the Series 7 securities licenses. Joining Patrick today is Mark Mckenna, Business Development Officer for Prestamos CDFI, a subsidiary of CPLC. Mark has more than 25 years of professional experience in financial services, having worked for Wells Fargo Bank, Chase Bank, and Merrill Lynch. He's a Tucson native and proudly served in the U.S. Marine Corps for over 6 years. I'm sure we'd hear some shout outs if we had audio on. In his current role, he seeks opportunities to help small business owners with borrowing capital to help small businesses with everything from buying equipment to startup expenses, commercial building purchases, and refinancing of business debt. So welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for joining us. Mark, I think what I'll do is have you start us off with your overview presentation, and I'll watch for questions and assist with those as we go. But again, happy to have you, and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you for having us, Barbara. Really appreciate it. And to everybody that's joined in today too, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day and you know, giving us some attention. But yeah, I'd definitely like to share a slide presentation here with you. Let me go ahead and let me know, make sure that we get that set up and everybody can see.
Great.
Okay, so do we have the slide up now? Everybody can see that?
I am not seeing it yet. So you've got that little green share screen button that usually helps you get there.
Yeah, so let's see.
I'll take it. I'll take it, Mark.
You got it? Okay, well then you.
That works.
How's that? Okay, awesome.
You guys got it?
There you go. Yes.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about some of what we do here at Prestamos. You know, as a CDFI in a minority established community development financial institution, and what Patrick is really involved in the community development entity side of it as well, but kind of sharing with you a little bit about what we do. Serving Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, and Texas are the regions right now, the states that we operate in and can deploy our services right now. You know, we're really mission-based, providing loans, financial education, technical assistance programs to individuals, small businesses, and nonprofits in distress in low-income communities. You know, one of the other things in our mission, and we'll talk a little bit more on some of the further slides, is navigating through, and a big emphasis on your meetings, Barbara, is the COVID-19 environment and how we're committed to meeting the needs of our community in this environment. But also with our CDFI designation, you know, being a preferred lender with the SBA is something else also that gives us the authority to process, close, service, and liquidate, you know, different programs within that SBA umbrella. You know, so one of the things also are the resources that we have available to us. One of the things that we've been working on closely since the end of March now is the Payment Protection Program and deploying funds under that program. And so this is a forgivable loan. And for those of you that haven't had experience with it yet, these forgivable loans over the course of a 10-week period is something that people can apply for as well in the forgiveness portion of these loans. This extends also into the Emergency Disaster Loan Relief Program through the SBA and SBA Debt Relief Program that also beyond the PPP program and maintaining some of that community engagement under this relief program. The SBA is now offering principal and interest-free payments for these programs that people that are small businesses can qualify for. So I'd love to talk more about that too down the road. But so our primary focuses are through our SBA loan programs and some of the technical assistance programs that we offer to small businesses as well. And this is something we'll talk more about as well in some further slides. But key COVID relief partners, as we're calling them, the Arizona Commerce Authority, a lot of PPP educational webinars on that site, and a lot of good information on business guidance too, with businesses reestablishing in this environment and how to operate their business also within the COVID environment. City of Mesa, Small Business Technical Assistance Programs. City of North Las Vegas, we just started a grant loan forgiveness program and deploying right now initially $600,000 under that program with more funding down the road that we're going to be working on as well. We have our own resources online. So for the hundreds and hundreds of clients that we serviced over the last few months, we have webinars in English and Spanish on the PPP and the loan forgiveness process. And again, the Arizona Commerce Authority site is a very, very informative site that we've been utilizing heavily. One thing that we want to talk about also is under our umbrella and what we've been able to do and the resources available to us, the Small Business Microloan Program. So over the course of this year, been able to fund 33 loans with just a little over $1 million in capital and going towards working capital, payroll, rent, monthly liabilities for small businesses throughout Arizona. The Paycheck Protection Program right now, this is something that we just finished this past Saturday and we ended the program, but funding over 916 businesses at 26 million plus in funding in that program. Over 3,945 jobs saved within that program, 627 business technical assistance that we provided under our TA program, and over 1,000 hours of free consulting within the technical assistance area as well. And this is something also that we really want to emphasize and let small businesses know too, through our TA team that's available, through the small business lending arm and programs. This service comes free to those small businesses, and being able to utilize services with marketing, financial assistance, business planning, all those services wrapped into that TA assistance program. Through, again, going back and looking at what we've done just here in the state of Arizona and deploying over $8 million over the PPP program these last few months, but over 400 loans made. And one thing I think that's really crucial too about what we did and the emphasis of as a community lender, we really were focused on small businesses. We were out there, we were out in the community. The community president here in Southern Arizona, Lydia Aranda, again focusing on really bringing in community-based small businesses to take advantage of this program with an average loan size of $22,000. and some, Patrick, you can help me here. What was our lowest amount that we lent?
Right around $450.
$450, to a small business under that program. So we really, made a concerted effort on trying to bring these small businesses, into the loop to take advantage of this program. The other things that we want to really talk about also, some other focuses was around, the statistics around how we lent the money and who the money was going to. But one of the graphs here that you see, the gender, 42% female-owned businesses, over 3 million loan to female-owned businesses. And then looking at, the other graph there, we saw that in the Hispanic businesses and non-Hispanic, it was 30% Hispanic businesses and over $2 million given out under that program. Some of the things that we saw here and with this graph is in the minority community. I think one of the things that we saw, and you see the ratio there, the difference is a lot of those smaller businesses tend to be minority-owned businesses, but we came across challenges where a lot of these smaller businesses didn't know and understand that that program applied to their business because they were a single owner. A lot of times we got where we thought we had to have employees to benefit from that program. So this goes to show us that there's still a lot of more community outreach that needs to be done and things that we can do as a community lender to really get involved in that aspect, and teaming up with the city and other partners is definitely going to, push that forward for us. Again, some good graphs to look at with regards to where we were lending, the business structure, again, self-employed, and that sole member owner, 29% of that, just about a little under $1 million went to those self-employed, sole proprietor, independent contractors that were out there. Going back to 10 or less employees, so over $2 million lent under this program to businesses with less than 10 employees. So that is something, again, just goes to speak on, our emphasis and our focus around targeting the small business. Some local statistics around the deployment here in Tucson, 54 businesses funded, excuse me, with just close to $900,000 funded and 175 jobs saved. In the Pima County area, 57 businesses funded, a little over $900,000 again. One thing, we really wanted to share also was some of the outreach, and an example, again, of how we as a community lender brought a personal touch to this, and so many stories that we've come across, and where people have gone to some of the bigger lenders out there and weren't able to deal one-on-one with a person. In this particular circumstance, the Child Language Center, a nonprofit organization here in town that actually works closely with the University of Arizona, and they're in a unique situation where their payroll is paid through the University of Arizona as a PEO situation. So their payroll comes directly to the U of A through the U of A, but the U of A couldn't provide them the necessary documentation without sharing information on their own payroll or other companies they also work with. So we were and going to other lenders, nobody was able to figure out how to work through that process and how to assist them with that. So our back office team and Eric and Patrick getting together, I mean, we were really able to identify, the process and how it worked, and justify it in the end, that their payroll was legitimate, and working with the U of A and getting information from the U of A and being able to provide. And it was just a little over 90, well, almost close to 100,000 in funding that they were able to get for their employees and the salaries there. So that was for me, and that was like the second nonprofit that I was able to do, but it was really, I think, a feel-good story about how we were able to step up to the plate and kind of assist in that process and really get them over the finishing line when nobody else was able to provide that.
And a lot of that, Mark, if I could, it was expanded upon. It was just required documentation, right? So we had to go in and just ask for a lot more deeper documentation notices, right? So and a lot of other lenders just didn't want to maybe take that extra step or that time. And so it wasn't though that they couldn't figure out themselves. It was just a lot of extra work that we put into it.
Yeah.
No, I think that's an important point, though, and appreciate the work that you do, because sometimes it takes that handholding, right? It's difficult, and especially in a time of crisis, I think our business owners are overwhelmed with the things that they need to be doing, and just to have that extra help to get through the process and get the things that are required to be successful with those programs is really key. Mark, there's a question from Ross that I thought I'd throw in here. Related to the PPP. It says the fine print in the first PPP required that employers could only benefit from employees on the payroll in 2019. Have there been revisions to the PPP to incentivize for businesses to hire new employees in 2020? What is your answer to that?
Actually, Patrick, you probably might be able to kind of give us some more insight on that because you touch more on the underwriting aspect of it.
Yeah, so right now as it stands, right, the PPP closed off Saturday night at 11:59. So we're still waiting for, the potentially next round of the PPP, but as it was written and the updates that came in, nothing was really provided for loan sizing to do with anything in the 2020 time period other than the 2019 time period. And if you had formed your company later in the year, you could have only used January and February 941s to get your loan sizing. So hopefully going forward, and they'd come out with a revised or extended PPP, we might get some more guidance with 2020 statistics. And I'm pretty positive from what we hear out of DC that's going to be the case on the new form, let's say, of the PPP that we're going to see coming out.
Great. Yeah. So the second question there was related to the EIDL, the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan. Is a business able to pay off the EIDL early? If so, Ross is asking how would they do that?
So first and foremost, the EIDL is just a fantastic loan. So to some extent, it all just depends if it was an advance at $10,000 or less. That will happen in you're qualifying yourself to be forgiven, meaning that if it's $10,000 or less, you'll be paying that back off, as these 24 months unfold. The 24 weeks unfold. Now, for the larger loan sizes, I don't know anybody that might not want to pay it back or to pay it back sooner to some extent because it is a 1% loan. And so for us in the underwriting, out of the 800 plus companies, I didn't see one instance where that was going to be the case.
Right, because that keeps your cash flow, right? That's such low. You would
Correct. So it's just such a great loan and loan terms that most businesses will not choose to pay that back sooner.
Okay. So I think you take it from here. I thought I would just give folks a sense of, as we talk about what you're doing in the world of new markets tax credits, it certainly is still an opportunity. And I think we're seeing this in Tucson, especially during many of the studies that are coming out during this pandemic showing that Tucson is still poised to receive a lot of interest from business activity, new expansions, entrepreneurial locations, and relocations. And so So I think that this next conversation plays into that we're still a ripe market for investment and maybe more so post-COVID. So Patrick, share with us a little more.
So I just want to start to just to put out there, this is a very high level presentation on new market tax credits, just to simplify it and to make it much more easy to understand. It definitely can be complex in how we structure these, but new market tax credit it's a tax credit program basically designed to stimulate private investments into low income communities. And we all call those LICs here in the new market tax credit lingo. It's administered by the US Treasury Department. The CDFI fund and the IRS are involved in administering the program. The funding does support business startups and expansions, commercial development, office retail. It could be new development. It could be rehab development. No LIHTC though. The LIHTC program does not work with the new market tax credit program. It's just completely separate. We can support community facilities. We've done funding to healthcare centers, charter schools, and rec centers. We're very focused in industrial and manufacturing. The mixed use, it does apply to the commercial portion, which is usually the lower portion offices, and more than 20% of the revenues need to come from the retail component of the square foot print of the entire project or the building. Since 2011, we have received $125 million in award allocations. And currently, as we speak, this round, we did get $55 million. So here, I just want to present that there's 4 different entities, let's say, that are involved in a new market tax structure itself. And I was just going to use a $10 million allocation as a very simple starting point. And then what I really just wanted to address is point number 4. And this is the borrower. This could be the developer, the development. We call it the Qualic B, which is a qualified active low income community business. So there's a tax credit investor, there's a tax credit lender, there's a CDE involved, and then there's also a borrower within this bigger construct of a new market tax credit. The benefits to the borrower come down to twofold. Most of the time, it's cheaper loan money or debt that comes into the business or to the business development. One side is, and I'm showing here about 2.73 million comes in, we call it a Quilicky loan. That comes in from the tax credit investor. And a lot of times when you hear new market tax credit, you also, you definitely get some free money involved. Well, that's kind of the free money, right? That's that 2.73 million. That's a tax credit that goes to the investor. It's 5% per year, the first 3 years, and then 6% for the remaining 4 years. And that side of the loan to the borrower gets forgiven. It's a little complex, but it does get forgiven. And then you have another side, which is again to the borrower. It's a loan. It's below market rate. This is from the tax credit lender side. It's a leverage lender side. So the beauty of that, again, is that in your capital stack, you're getting 2 sources of low, cheap debt or loans into your capital structure. You can also put in a senior debt capital structure component to the capital stack to a project, which would then just reduce the amount of LP equity that needs to come into the project. But the left-hand side there, the 2.7 or the 7.27 million does get forgiven. Not forgiven, my fault. It does get refinanced at the end of year 7 in the project. And since the majority of everybody on the call here is all about being the borrower, so that's why I was just going to be focusing on the borrower itself. So the borrower needs to be located into a low-income community. And so the best way to do that is you can just Google it for mapping. I love to use Baker Utilities map. You can also use the CDFI fund, has a mapping tool. Novogradac has a mapping tool. But to qualify for the low-income community, your business or your project needs to be in a distressed or a severely distressed census tract. The distressed census tract has a poverty rate of 20% or greater, or a median family income of 80% or lower. And that's the distress. So that's the minimum requirements. And then on top of that, you can also have a severely distressed. And it's one of additional points here. It's a median family income at 60% of AMI or lower, a poverty rate above 30%, or an unemployment rate that's 2.5 times the national rate. So that's how they just distinguish between a distressed and a severely distressed location. It definitely does include brownfield areas, state and local designated distressed areas. We do not have any of those here in Arizona. Medically underserved areas, a food desert, and hub zones. So again, for you as the business, for you as the developer, it's called the QualiB, it's the Qualified Active Low Income Community Business. Here are the 5 technical requirements. You have to have 50% of your gross income is derived from business activity within the low income community area. 40% of the tangible property of the business is located in the low income community area. Over 40% of the services of your business are performed. There's 40% of the services performed by the employees in your business must be coming from the low income community. You must not have more than 5% in collectibles. And they just give an example of art and antiques. And then less than 5% must, or 5% or less can qualify on financial property, which would be debt, stock, partnership interests, futures, contracts, or warrants. And then just some typical examples is that an operating business could just be a manufacturing company, a grocery store that's located in a low income community. Or it could be a business that develops or rehabs a commercial property, industrial, retail, mixed use, all located again within a low income community. For us at Prestamos, this is the key slide here. These are our investment priorities. So we wrote for these allocations. We can only serve.
So they got off a little bit early, but we give them homework.
I hear somebody talking in the background, but so we can only focus on Arizona, Nevada, Texas, and New Mexico. We like to have a site selection to a severely distressed, because that helps us in the scoring to write for next round of new market tax credit allocation. We at Prestamos specifically focus on manufacturing companies and healthcare facilities. And in the past, we have done some hospitality and some hotels. Our primary concern and our mission driver at Prestamos is jobs and jobs creation. So we look at it as quality jobs and accessible jobs. A quality job, we just use the MIT living wage calculator. It's 110% of a single person's wage, which is about a $12 per hour minimum. So that sets a floor. But we like to have benefits are provided by the business, and there's upward mobility within that business. So they like to hire from within the company. And then all jobs should be attainable jobs without advanced degrees. So for us at Prestamos, when we put out our allocations to businesses, to developments, that is our primary focus, is what I've shared right there.
Excellent.
We also have a loan pool. So of the $55 million that we received this year in allocation, we have $11 million in allocation for a loan pool. It's a little bit different than a normal new market tax credit structure. It's an interest-only loan. It's fully paid back at the end of year 7, and we will usually take second position to a senior debt position. So it has the same investment priorities that we looked at before from Prestamos, same location, the same type of jobs we look for. And this is just basically a cheaper loan that you can come to us and that we have resources for. It could fund land acquisition, pre-development, rehab, and expansion. As an organization at the CDFI, we like to also then fund, let's say, some equipment or some machinery into the project as well. And again, there's a lot of nuances with new market tax credits. A lot of different CDEs will write for different types of allocations. We specifically wrote for the industrials, some hotels, and then we really do some charter schools, and that's our focus. So if you have questions or comments, definitely reach out to the City of Tucson. The City of Tucson can reach out to us specifically at Prestamos, and then we can sit back with your company and your business or your development and talk about it just to see if it's the right type of a fit. And we're currently right now looking for pipeline projects that we're going to be writing for the next year's allocation, and this application's due this September.
That's great. Now, and I see folks in our attendance today, like Jane and Jerry, and I think about this information is, I think, very helpful as they think about projects and development opportunities coming our way. So I'm happy to be able to refer them to you, Patrick, and let you be the experts on all things new markets. So let me ask a couple more questions. And I know as people were excited, I did get a request for your slides, and you sent those, and we'll share those with everyone that's registered. So we'll do that for sure. You'll receive that in your inbox by tomorrow. But give me a sense of, well, it looks like you've got a few other examples before.
But this was just an example. Parker Fasteners up here, they relocated to the city of Buckeye. So this was part of our loan pool, which we can do $300,000 up to $4 million. And so they wanted to do renovation within the building. So the building already existed. They relocated. We did an interest-only 7-year period, $2 million loan at a less than normal market rates. We were second in position to another big bank. And it's just a perfect example of it created 10 new quality jobs for us, and it retained 51. And the city of Buckeye, you know, they were very easy to work with us. They guided us to Parker Fasteners, which was fantastic. So again, they reached out to the city of Buckeye. The city of Buckeye reached out to us and our team. And then we went directly to Parker and started working with them on this type of funding.
Great. Now that's a fantastic example. So hopefully we'll be in your next slideshow and we'll have Tucson examples.
And then I'm just showing really quick, here's a Baker Tilly map for Tucson, right? So you can see there's the severely distressed is the yellow, the green is distressed. And in the lower right-hand corner, it tells you like the % of people in poverty in that area. So some of those requirements that I had listed before, this website will just show you as your business where you're located, and it'll tell you right away if you're in distressed or severely distressed. And there actually is, this is one of the most distressed big picture that I could find actually in Arizona. So there's a lot of potential here in Tucson.
Excellent. Excellent. So if just a couple of questions that I think maybe you can address. Talk about going back to just the PPP in terms of compliance. Those businesses that have or will have a PPP loan to manage, are there some tips for business owners so that they can ensure full benefit of the program? What would you say?
So I know that we have a team internally who's specifically been working on the forgiveness side of this process. We do not know yet if Treasury is going to make any kind of commentary of, you know, everybody below $150,000. It's just going to be like a mandated, forgiveness kind of a thing. Those between $350,000 up to $1 million might have a 3-year period to qualify. Right here, that link, PrestimoSloans.org, PPP forgiveness. We have a ton of videos internally done by our team that literally walks you through the process. It's in English and it's in Spanish. Of all 800 plus loans that we've done, you know, we get everybody through that kind of thing. It's kind of like one of our education, and we don't require it, but it just works really well. So I would literally just refer everybody to that. There's just tons of incredible resources, and Amber on our team has just done a phenomenal job. She's the one working weekly with ACA and making presentations on the forgiveness side of the loan.
Great. I would recommend, Patrick, if you take a minute and just put that in the chat box, that link, so people can begin to access that right away. And again, I just appreciate the one-on-one opportunity that you give your clients and walking them through these things. I guess finally I would ask, do you, in your microloan program, do you still have funding available there? And what's the best way for a business to get in touch and start an application process with you all?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're definitely still, fully vested in our microloan programs. We have a COVID-19 microloan program, and then what the SBA is doing for that program and the regular small business microloan programs that we normally do, with the 6 months principal and interest payments being paid for by the SBA. So in a sense, that first initial 6 months, which is crucial over these next, half of the year, where people don't have to worry about that additional debt or that additional liability. They're making that payment, and so, definitely, people would reach out to me directly, and we would talk about, qualifying them and to see, where they fit within those parameters on getting people qualified for that. But we're actively engaged in seeing where we can help out.
Great. And so, Mark, maybe you could put your contact information, or the best way for someone to reach you, put that in the chat box as well. I wanted to thank Ellen. She also mentioned she's our SBDC partner at Pima Community College, and I know she works closely with your whole team to assist businesses in.
Definitely.
Yeah, we have some great folks in our region helping businesses all the time. And so with that perfect segue, I'm going to introduce our next guest who has joined us. We have Dr. John Arnold. He is CEO and founder of PPEP Incorporated. I want to share the acronym because I had to look closely at it. Portable Practical Education Preparation is the PPEP acronym, but they do so much more. And in particular, he will be sharing with us today about the work that the subsidiary organization, PPEP's Microbusiness Housing Development Corporation, is doing in relation to the recapitalized loan program that they have. Dr. Arnold has been a resident of Tucson for more than 50 years. He is a graduate of the University of Arizona with a bachelor's degree in Spanish and sociology, 2 master's degrees. It goes on and on. That's in administration and education, and his doctorate's in the same. In 1967, while he was working for the Head Start program, Dr. Arnold wrote the first PPEP grant proposal and was awarded $19,000 to embark on the many incredible education programs, which started with assisting farm workers and the rural poor. Fast forward to the creation of Microbusiness Housing Development Corporation, which became, what I understand, is the very first CDFI, Community Development Finance Institute, in the country in 1999. They have since been awarded several distinctions by the SBA, EDA, and USDA. They've loaned more than $50 million to date, and Dr. Arnold is here today to share about the current small business loan program, which EDA just recently awarded an additional $1 million to for the purpose of support during the pandemic. So without any further introduction, Dr. John Arnold, welcome.
Very proud to be here with all of you, but also my PhD, as you know, if you're a graduate of Pueblo High School, you have a PhD, Pueblo High School diploma.
Perfect.
So I also value that one very much. Also a product of Wakefield and a few other local schools. Actually, I was in Lincoln School for 4th grade in Nogales, and before that, I was lived in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, and went to school there, originally from Pennsylvania. So today, though, however, we are on a bus. We're on the bus La Tortuga that you were talking about, and I don't know if you can see the bus there, but that's it. It's in the Farm Worker Hall of Fame that's recognized by Smithsonian Institute. I hope that you will come to see many of the great things that are there. In 1985, we were approached by the Ford Foundation, and also at that time, Acción International was a partner, and we began our efforts we had the PEP Housing Development Corporation, we added the PEP Micro Business. And so that went on for a number of years. And as you mentioned, the CDFI, we were involved with the Clinton administration and some of the language in putting the CDFI together. And our great partners from Chicanos por la Causa, they were also among the first CDFIs. And so we felt very proud in being with a great family. We worked with CPLC for many years in many projects, especially in the area of housing. We funded several $1 million to some of their self-help efforts. And so we found partnerships to be our strength. And I just use that one with CPLC, because without partnerships, none of us have the capability of doing anything alone anymore. The the need is just great. And Barbara, thank you for your work with the city and bringing this together. Just a little bit more about the history of the organization. We found our niche because we are a migrant seasonal farm worker organization. So we're very active in the San Luis and Somerton area. We are the SBA intermediary lender for 67% of the state of Arizona. And we have 3 zip codes also in New Mexico and southern Utah and the nations. So this is something that we have a large geographical area, one that is spread with right now in Yuma County. We've had the same devastation everybody's had. Our office, our microbiz office has been decimated entirely, and we hope we're on the mend. But anyway, that happened, and then we had our loan officer here in Tucson, Tamara Conley, who recently had a procedure, and then Patty Mendoza, that was going to share some time with us, had a death in the family back in Thatcher. So I asked Bob Milianta and also Monica, that's with us today, that does our application process, and they're people that really step up and so that we don't miss a beat. But we are looking for help with people that can do underwriting. If you know anybody in the banking field that's retired and looking for some extra work right now, we could certainly use that, because we do want to take care of those issues. Also, we've been taking care of through the stimulus of many of our borrowers. And Bob, I think we've had some kind of moratorium that we played. Maybe you could share that with us.
We are currently reviewing our applicants for deferments, 6-month deferments, for valid reasons, because of the COVID problem. And we want to pursue that and make sure that our clients are fully supported in that endeavor.
The other thing is that, as Barbara said a moment ago, and CPLC is the same way, I'm sure some of the others, we have other supportive services that we can give our clients. We work with the city and the county. We are one of the main providers for utility assistance, rental assistance. We are also a licensed mental health organization, and we're providing a lot of backup right now to many of our clients and members that are having some great deal of difficulty. We pride ourselves with the technical assistance. Bob Milianta, that's here with me, was he thought he was going into retirement. I think he's one of the deputy administrators of USDA in Utah, moved peacefully to Arizona, and ever since he's been working really hard with us, and he's just picking up a lot of the pieces right now. And then Monica has just come on with us. She has a great talent. Our staff mainly is bilingual, which is great for us, especially in the farm worker community. Between Patty Mendoza and Cecilia Torres, we have about 65 years of history of working in the programs. Unfortunately, they're not be able to be with us today, but let's go forward to, and I think we talk a lot about same things that Patrick and Mark have been talking about, the services that we can offer. I'd like to talk a little bit about the EDA grant. And EDA, we've been the intermediary lender there as well. And we've had some other funding from USDA over the years. And so, Bob, would you like to talk to a little bit about the EDA grant, what the status is on that?
Economic Development Administration is administered by the U.S. Department of Commerce, and we've been with them for quite a few years. This is an ongoing extension of our loan program. We applied for a non-competitive grant. We received it for $1 million, and we plan to incorporate that program into our existing program. And as far as what Dr. Arnold was talking about, partnerships, we have about 4 or 5 funding sources that we can partner with this EDA grant to make our funding just as smooth and available to the people as we possibly can.
So can you describe, Bob, the process for that free application? Where can people go? Who should they contact, and give them some idea of what that's going to look like?
Well, we're in the process of reviewing the grant proposal right now. We need another week or week and a half before we accept applications. it's quite extensive, as everybody knows, as far as the government regulations on these types of programs. But we plan to be open for business in about 7 to 10 days, and then we will be accepting applications. Within the grant structure, it tells us what our range and our parameters are for interest rates. And so we will decide on the interest rates, and we'll decide on the term, and then we will open it up to applications, and then we'll proceed from that.
Okay, fantastic. So maybe maybe your general phone number would be good to put in the chat box so people will have, they can tag their calendars in about a week or 10 days and make sure to reach out to you to see if you're ready. I think that would be helpful. Look at there, you're going to do it
On a 48 passenger school bus called La Tortuga. This is the best we can do. We
that.
haven't quite do the scanning, but we do have these numbers here. Main number is the 520-622-3553. And Monica, you do a lot of the answer. You have a word to say about people calling in?
Yes, a lot of questions over COVID and the CARES Act. And basically we just try to answer the questions, you know, make them comfortable. And if I don't have an answer, basically we'll run, you know, to someone that can give me the answer for them. And basically just be on them, you know, constantly. They always want to call back. They don't want to be on hold. They just want answers quick. So that's, you know, the prompting that we need to do is just get their answers and questions, you know, to them.
Great. I know that everyone likes to hear that, that's listening in, that's a small business owner. They appreciate the answers and certainly the care it takes to get to those answers. So, you know, would you say if a business person were to apply to your loan program, how long is that process from application, you know, turning in all the documents to funding? How long does that take?
Well, the issue with that is that we're finding out is if they submit all the required information, we're going to try to turn these around in 30 to 45 days. But the problem we're running into is sometimes there's quite a bit of confusion as to the applicant submitting everything at the same time so we can process in a timely manner. And if they don't provide the information in a timely manner, unfortunately it's going to drag out. And we've had that experience. I'm sure most lenders have had that experience. And so I think it's very important for us to prep them initially and tell them that we need all this required information, and we can process expeditiously. And if not, we're going to have to wait for the required information.
Sure, it takes.
We have some loan funds that are very, very small, but they're very flexible. And I'm sure Patrick and Mark are familiar. SBA is fairly complicated, and we say, you know, 30 to 45 days. We would like to turn around 4 or 5 days. Sometimes those other loan funds we can do things like that. But we have a loan review committee made up of the business community and others that are a former county manager. We have some other folks that are involved in this that make the decisions. We as staff present everything, and if everything is in place, we can turn these things around a lot more. But I want to say too that accessibility is a key. Morale is a key to keeping people going. We are finding a lot of hand-holding is very important. And you know, as soon as the stimulus money goes away, this is going to be a time of truth. And I'm sure all of us in this field know that's when our people are really going to be hurting. And that we want to be prepared for that aspect, because right now, as Bob said, they may be granted a period of non-payment and support service and technical assistance, but sooner or later, those requirements are going to be lifted by SBA and USDA and others. And the hard reality is how many of them are going to continue to survive without a subsidy. And this is the one big concern our board of directors and our loan review committee and staff have. And that's where we're putting some energy into how do we look forward to, and what kind of things do we put into place to help soften the landing or actually help them to take off, hopefully.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that viewpoint. And I think for our partners that are listening in today, I think that's very important that as you have business clients out there, and some of you that are listening know that you can reach out to our SBDC partners, our folks here at CPLC and PPEP, as well as SCORE counselors and others in the community, the YWCA and our economic development team members, because I think reaching out and finding some solutions for your solvency as a business and your resiliency through the next 24 months is going to be critical. So I appreciate this. And I asked this question of our panelists last week, sort of to round out today's discussion. For the business owners listening in, for all of you that are our panelists today, what tips or nuggets of wisdom do you have for small business owners in terms of how to salvage the remainder of this year? You know, we're all looking at 2021. We feel like 2020 is just done what it's done, right? And what should our businesses be focused on? What would you say to that? And I'll let you, Dr. Arnold and Bob, go first, and then I'll turn it back to the CPLC team. What do you think?
Well, I think what's really important for them to be honest with the organization, with their organization, and with the people who they're applying for. I don't think, and I hate to be a little negative here, but I don't think everybody's going to survive. And so they're going to have to make that type of decision initially. And I can tell you from my experience is that this agency is very proactive and trying to keep all these businesses open and active. And I think the best thing they can do is just be really prepared as far as the required information has to be submitted, and leave it to the loan review committee and see what's happening. And if we can help them, that's exactly what we're going to do.
The other thing too is if right now we do need some assistance with anybody that has the loan review, I mean the underwriting, excuse me, been in 2 meetings here in a row. Underwriting, if you know of anybody that's out of work, anybody that's retired banker that's looking for work, we could use that help right now, because we are hit very hard with our almost 100% of our loan officers, which is 2 or 3 people, is down. But we need some help, and those people that would be interested in doing that might be some long-term employment as well. I'd like to share one thing that, if I may, I want to share a story that in 1999 we were invited to the White House with Hillary Clinton and Secretary Rubin. That was in the White House full of people, about 75 TV cameras. I was sitting next to Kennedy, and on the stage was a lady called Maria Jesus Gaxiola. She was a widow with 3 children from San Luis, Arizona. She was a farm worker, and she went through our job training program, and then she came to our microloan program, got some pretty strong technical assistance, and $500. And with that, she was able to start a business with selling Herbalife. Now, that is interesting because farm workers, fields, good nutrition. And so she built a business, and she has over 40 different distributors now under her. She was a micro business of the year at the White House with the people, as I mentioned, on the stage. And just a story about how that happens is that giving people an opportunity, it's like planting the seed, watering, tending, and making sure. And even today, we keep up with Maria Jesus, and she's hired more people in Lower Yuma County than I think the state has provided jobs. So you can never underestimate the people that we work with. They're real dynamos, but like Hillary Clinton once said, many of the dreams of businesses die in the parking lots of banks. And we're the ones that we want to make the difference. And I know CPLC and Mark and the city, we're all committed to making sure the parking lots are full and that our people are being served and not turned away. Thank you.
It's a great story, and I love that about the parking lot. Some of you may have had that experience recently. So to bring us home, Patrick, Mark, what would you say? What are some nuggets of wisdom as businesses are looking to the end of the year and into next year?
I'll chime in a little bit here just to, kind of tagging off of what Bob had said early on with regards to the application process and some of the challenges that people are faced or that we were faced as lenders. And one of the biggest challenges to me have always seen the lack of preparation with financials. So when we're going out there and we're requesting some information, that's crucial that we have all that documentation, but there's a lag time getting that from the small business owner. So to me, in this time period, in this environment, if there's anything that's real crucial right now, is to take a step back and to reevaluate your financials, to really hone in on your profit and loss statements, your balance sheets, and what they're telling you as a small business. And again, off what Bob said, is there are going to be a lot of businesses that aren't going to be able to weather the storm, through this. But getting, being 2 steps ahead of the game is going to help out. And one of the other things, talking with a lot of small business owners over the course of the last 4 or 5 months, one of the things that has, kind of been at the forefront is how these businesses are transitioning, and evolving and learning how to do business in this new environment. So now, if anything, now's the time to think outside the box too with your business, to figure out, okay, what can I do differently now?
Right.
So that's kind of like, for me, what kind of, I think stands out. Patrick?
No, I think I would say the same that everybody else has kind of mentioned here, be honest, with yourself and where your business sits. Some industries are much better positioned potentially to go forward than other industries. But what we're seeing and what, myself and the other underwriter, we're 900 loans. It's exactly what Mark said. It's reach out to us, right? We are here. We do help hand in hand. We educate. We educate on financials, on the whole, profit and loss statement, where your company is at, where you're at with respect to what expenses are coming due in the next 30 days, just to see if if you're going to get into a negative on your weekly balance at the bank. But to reach out to both organizations who are going to take that extra step to really kind of fight for you and to educate you as a business owner, and then to help you out, on the applications, whatnot, going forward.
I like that. I think, sometimes it's hard for any one of us, just as human beings, to ask for help, right? And this is a time when I think you need to call everyone that can really help you out. So I'll wrap us up. I
found a picture of Maria Jesus Garcia on the stage with Bill Clinton. I don't know if it'll show, but it's just an example of what all of us are doing in trying to. Here's a lady that everybody's given up on. Her husband she was widowed, and the 3 kids, and the work that she did. And here she's standing at the White House and sharing her story. She didn't know any English, and Bill Clinton said, well, we had an interpreter up there, but she was just remarkable. But that's just an example of what all of us are doing, and I'm sure CPLC and Mark, we all have a story, but he is a remarkable person, and women are very important in business. We've got to not underestimate their potential. We actually have a microloan program in Cameroon with 54 farms that we're providing seeds, and we have a program in Sonora where we have over 1,000 women that are in small loans. We just capitalize their loan fund for $5,000, and they make the loans. If one doesn't pay, the rest of them do. And just remarkable, the power of the women and the men as well. And microfinance brings us all together.
Well, and it's obvious. Your passion comes across. So with that, I'm going to wrap us up. Don't forget that we have the We Are One Somos Uno Resiliency Fund, small business and nonprofit continuity grants. The links are on our website at connecttucson.com. So please take a look at those for options for continuity and your resiliency as well. Other programs like Hound, make sure that you have those marketing platforms that work for you, and the gift voucher program. We will be back next Monday, 3 p.m. So be sure to register when you see the email invite in your inbox. It's our goal to keep you connected to the resources as we navigate this pandemic together. And you can also call our City of Tucson Economic Initiative Small Business Hotline at 520-837-4100 and check connecttucson.com for resources and make sure you're on our email list. So with that, I will sign us off today. I appreciate everyone. And thank you all for participating, for your wisdom, and we'll see you next week.